I've been able to make more than a doctor's salary at 19 years old selling AI to businesses. I've done over $500,000 selling AI, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the entire process from laying down the foundation, creating your offer and assets you can use, lead generating, and exactly how to set up the lead generation, closing and fulfillment, and also scaling and building the machine for your business to scale, as well as the exact onboarding process that I use for my business in order to do over $500,000 selling AI. I'm going to hit the refresh because I know that, a lot of people say things online, and there's the proof right there, over $500,000 collected. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so for phase one, laying the foundation, what we're going to do is first, we're going to select your core offer. So we need to understand that building around solving one problem in a business isn't sufficient anymore. You have to select one core problem, one core offer, and then build around that, add on to it. So the first thing that we're going to do in the AI infrastructure setup is we have a couple different options. We can sell an AI appointment setter. We can sell an AI lead qualifier. We can sell an AI client onboarding assistant. We can sell an AI customer support agent, or we can sell an AI reactivation campaign. Okay, and this is what we base around our offer. And the important thing to understand before you're selecting this is to understand the industry and niche that you're going for, the company size, and the niche pain points. Because if you don't do enough market research, you can go after home services and set up a AI client onboarding assistant. Home service niches don't need that because they're doing home services, right? So you need to understand your niche and do market research in order to understand. Whereas if we're going after home services, it would make more sense to do an AI appointment setter. That would be booking in consultations with their technicians. Okay, that would make more sense. An important thing as well when you're going after a niche is in order to create the proper offer, we need to understand and decide the company size that we're going after. How many employees do they have? How many leads per day are they calling or wanting to call? What's their revenue looking like? Okay, what is the profit? All of this is important because you need to understand when pitching your offer, if there's not enough value and they don't see the value proposition for what you are pitching, the AI caller that you're pitching, and they're only calling 50 leads per week, they're not going to pay you 20 grand or 15 grand or 10 grand up front for something like that. If they're only calling 50 leads per day, they're not going to see the value. They're not going to see the return on investment. Okay. And then, of course, the niche pain points, okay? If you're solving a problem and you are a business owner, you're solving a problem, you need to understand the pain points of that business, of the problem that you're solving in order to really, really hammer on fulfillment, okay? So speed to lead, missed calls, slow sales process, a bad lead follow-up system, and you use it against them. You use it in the sales process. You can even create ROI calculators where you show them, okay, speed to lead an issue in the business. How quick are you getting to on the phone with your average lead? If it's 30 minutes or an hour, what is going to happen if we increase that to 5 minutes or 1 minute or 30 seconds? How much is that going to increase things? And you can use it against them. Okay. And then selecting your pricing framework. Okay. So based on your core offer, as well as the niche size of the company and the pain points of that company, we can now create the pricing framework. Now, there's two ways that you go about it. There's the use case, and then there's the pricing for that use case. So you have appointment booking, lead qualification, customer service, follow-ups. Now, for the pricing, there's a sweet spot. What you want to do, and in my personal opinion, what I've seen works best, is to get as much money as you possibly can up front, and then charge a small monthly retainer on top of that. The reason being is it's very, very hard to keep a client from churning for more than 6 months if you have a high cost retainer. The reason being is if they don't see a return on investment within the first 1 to 2 months, they're most likely going to bail. Okay, that's just how it is. Companies will get remorse, they will get fear, and they will want to leave right away if they don't see a return on investment right away. So the issue with that is if you're not charging enough money up front and your client is leaving right away and they don't see results instantly, especially with an offer like this that requires testing, it requires tweaking, it requires a little bit longer in order to refine the process, right? This business owner has been struggling with a problem for 20 years. They're barely giving you 1 to 2 months in order to fix and perform better than what they've tried to do the last 20 years. So it's super important to understand, and usually why an upfront payment as part of your offer includes 3 months of support, so 3 months of working on the offer, trying to help them, and then charging a small monthly retainer after for maintenance and support. Because the 3 months gives you enough time to show fulfillment. You charge and you have all the money up front, so you have more money to play with in order to fulfill and make sure your client is happy. And then keep them and hold them on a monthly retainer support or maintenance charge. Also, when you're starting out, if you're working with smaller businesses and people who are less trustworthy, you can even do revenue share deals or per appointment price points. Now, I would personally stay away from this because a lot of times when you're fixing this issue for the business, especially for the AI appointment setter and AI calling, there's more fundamentals behind the scenes. So it's not just phone calling, right? It's qualifying leads. It's what's the quality of leads? Where are they coming from? How long ago have they been interested in the offer? So there's so many things that could go wrong, and not just to mention in the qualifying and the acquisition process, but the sales side. Okay, like you could be booking them a crazy amount of appointments, but if they're not closing, if they don't have a good closer and they're not closing the deals, it doesn't mean anything, and you won't get paid, even if you're doing your job right. So I would stay away from these if you can. In the beginning, obviously, you want to be flexible. So, of course. So this is laying the foundation. You need to do a lot of market research in order to find out the best way to price, the best offer, the best niche for you. Okay. And if you're lost on niche selection, usually what I say is number one, start with a personal connection. Okay. If you know a friend of a friend of a friend that works in a industry, go after them. Okay. Because it's an easy first testimonial. You do free work, or you do, just covering your costs, bare costs. You get a testimonial right off the door. You have proof of concept, and then you just start signing like crazy. Or number two, go for the highest volume of calls on a niche. That's usually what I say. Depending on what core offer you've selected, I'm going to use AI Appointment Setter as an example. The more that they rely on phone calls, the easier it is going to be to sell them. Okay, because not only will they see a direct return on investment if they start to see more bookings coming through, but if you perform, they will stay forever. They will stay forever, which means you will have a recurring revenue every single month from that client. Let's move on to phase two. Okay. This is going to be crafting your offer as well as assets, okay? So the first thing for creating a irresistible offer is you need to ensure you're selling the outcome. If you're going after home services or professionals or whatever, they don't really care about the statistics and the fact that your AI can do 10,000 calls per minute and the fact that we use ChatGPT 4.0 on the back end, okay? Once in a while, you'll have the unique person who has a technical background and wants to learn those questions. But the thing is, in order to sell 99% of people, you need to sell the outcome, okay? You need to sell the end result. You need to sell almost emotionally. So double your booked appointments without hiring sales reps, 24/7 customer service without more reps. You don't want to overcomplicate it. 10,000 calls per minute with our AI infrastructure, phone calling agent using ChatGPT 4.0. Like, you don't want to do that, okay? Bonuses. So by creating and selling the outcome, you are having a rapid and seamless setup, AI personalization, free support for 30 days, even 90 days, I think is a good way to go about it as well. Not just 30, 90 is also a good way. And risk reversal. So if it doesn't perform, we will optimize it for free until it does. Now in the beginning, this is a good thing because you might not even know if the AI or platform or whatever you're using is going to work. For example, my first client, I had no idea how to fulfill. I collected payment and I didn't know how to fulfill. So I learned it. I used the client's money, I learned it, and eventually I delegated that role to a software engineer after I learned enough of the process. Okay? That's a cool thing that you can do. Now, we're going to build the core infrastructure. So part of that, not only are we going to sell and implement the AI and doubling their book appointments and everything, we're actually going to build out a lead acquisition funnel for them. So we're not only supplying the AI phone caller, but we're actually generating leads for them. The reason that we're doing this is because if you just sell phone calling AI or you just sell paid ads and generate leads, you're most likely selling a commodity and you're going to be competing with a lot of different people. But I tell you right now, if you're selling a lead acquisition system as well as an AI caller to a specific niche, you're one of 50. Okay, one of 50 at max. Depending on how many people watch this video, maybe one of 200. But that's the best way to go about it, okay? It's going to take some learning in the process, but like I said, you can eventually delegate it. So what we're going to do is create a funnel. So we're going to have an opt-in, a VSL page, a qualification page, a booking page, and a thank you page for this business. You can delegate this, or you can just create it once and use a snapshot template and just copy and paste for each of the customers and replace it, okay? We're going to use Go High Level or any CRM. A Jobber is a really good one for home services. They can do quotes. They can do a bunch of different things within it. And your target market for a CRM like Jobber is people who most likely are using pen and paper to track everything, pay clients, or have some crazy outdated software from the early 2000s, okay? So with Go High Level, pipelines, tags, tracking, that's all within Jobber as well. So yeah, CRM setup and integration. And now for the AI to assist in the booking and ensure that everyone shows up, because that's not the end of the sales process. If you know sales, if you know appointment setting, when the AI is calling and it's booked an appointment, we now need to make sure that person shows up. So we're going to have booking automations where we're sending testimonials, proof of concept, content, free content, and email and text reminders for the call. On top of that, we're going to have nurturing sequences with email flows, SMS flows, and then AI call trigger flows where, depending on what level and what time in the sequence they are, it'll call them again. So if they don't pick up within the first 5 minutes, it'll call them again in 2 hours, or it'll call them again in 24 hours, or in 48 hours, or whatever it may be, okay? And I'm going to set up their ads. So we're going to use AI demo or AI UGC ads, which is basically you're playing an AI demo phone caller. So you're going on the AI platform, you're creating a script, you're calling the agent, you're downloading the recording, and you're just slapping it there. I like that ad personally because in my opinion, it gets straight to the point. It shows them exactly what they need and it hooks them in. Like for example, a really high performing one that we use is somebody screaming over the phone like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? You're calling me for the 10th time. So it's a hook. It's not only a hook, but it's also showing the power of the product because the AI is able to turn around a upset lead, which as we know, and lots of people know who do cold calling and phone calling, it happens all the time. There's always a customer who is screaming and very enraged, and honestly, it sucks to be on the other end. So by just having an AI who doesn't really have feelings, at least not yet, it's even better. It doesn't get frustrated, right? So I personally think that's the better way to go. Or you could just do UGC. So UGC is user-generated content, and it's basically just you speaking to the camera, just how it's speaking now. Like, hey, business owner, we're gonna do this, this, and this for you. And there's a platform, it's called Arcads, where you can use AI UGC. So basically, you just plug and play a script. It's like $150 a month, so it's super expensive in my opinion. It doesn't look that great either, and it's very lazy. It's lazy work because you could be in bed and create an AI UGC video. I'll play it here for you right now.
Avoid these two mistakes if you have an Android phone. Number one is getting too many useless emails. Number two is not being protected against spam. They are ruining your storage and productivity. Instead, try this app for free. CleanFox will block useless emails and stop spam in one tap. This is the most used email cleaner. Download it for free.
There you go. All right, so pretty cool stuff. That was all AI, no human. So yeah, you can do that, and then we're going to use ChatGPT to create our primary text or headlines in order to generate that content for the clients, and then we're going to set up the pixel in order to track everything on the funnel. So yeah, the pixel setup, all that ad stuff. You can find it on YouTube or even my YouTube channel. I walk through it. And all this stuff that I'm talking about that I'm not showing, this is just a base understanding for you to understand everything in terms of the complexity, and a video that you can come back to and leverage and do research off. So obviously I don't expect you, and I cannot begin to cover every single thing in minor details, but I have lots of video going over the little parts of it separately, more in depth. And then we're going to create a dynamic custom audience and create and launch ad campaigns for the client. Okay. Obviously, as you can see, this is a lot of stuff, and it's going to allow us to charge 10, 15, even 20K upfront for this, plus a retainer for maintenance and changing things. And then what we're going to do is we're going to prepare lead magnets. So we're going to have a free VSL script, we're going to have free AI calling script, and we're going to have a free offer audit. So the more free value that you can give in terms of conversions and the cold traffic, the more you're going to be able to convert. That's just how it is nowadays. We're in a trust recession. And although before, 2 years ago, you could have a crazy offer and a good guarantee, and everybody would be throwing money at you. It's not the same now. Everybody has the crazy guarantee. Everyone's read Alex Hormozi's $200 million offers book. So you have to compete in some other way. And the best way to do that is giving a free value, giving back, giving out to people. Okay, now for lead generation, one of the important pillars. How are we going to do this? Okay, so number one, and I'm not going to lie to you, the only thing you should be doing to start is paid ads, okay? Paid ads is number one, and it always will be, because the customer is coming to you, okay? Inbound leads means they're reaching out to you. They need your help. They put in the time and effort to book a call with you. I don't suggest, in my personal opinion, if you cannot afford to run paid ads, you should not start this business. You should either work until you can run paid ads or sell something else in the meantime, do cold traffic, but it's going to be a lot harder, okay? So the paid ads engine goes as functions, okay? So we have the demo and UGC creatives, we have the ChatGPT primary text, ChatGPT headlines, the target based on niche, and then a retargeting setup. And then as we're running that, we're going to optimize for cost per qualified booked appointment. No matter what, no other metric matters except for this one. It doesn't matter if you're getting $2 cost per lead, $10 cost per booking. If they're not qualified and we don't have a low cost per qualified booked appointment, the funnel needs to be optimized. Things need to be changed. This is the number one metric. How are we going to structure this, okay? This is how we do it. So this is the ad campaign structure. Now you have 3 ad sets within one ad campaign. And this would be like, we're testing 3 niches, okay? So we have construction, home renovation, and roofers. What you're gonna do is you're gonna have 5 different ad creatives. Now what you can do inside of Facebook ads is you can actually run a dynamic test. So what that does is within the ad campaign and each individual ad set, you can each will have their own budget allocated. So this ad spend would have $50, this would have 50, this would have 50, or this one would have $10, $10, $10. Get the point? Within that ad set, you can actually run multiple creatives and primary text and bodies and headlines and at the same time, okay? So instead of spending $50 on each new ad creative that you're testing, you can spend $50 on 5 new ad creatives that you're testing. I believe you can go up to 8. Usually I say to stick around 5. After that, you're kind of pushing. So what's cool about this is you could literally test the AI demo versus the AI UGC, right? And you could see which outperforms. So you'll have the 5 ad creatives here, you'll have the 3 primary text, and you'll have the 3 headlines. And then what you'll do, you'll run these ads, and then Facebook will show you the metrics. They'll break it down. They'll tell you which has the highest click-through rate, which has the most amount of leads coming through from it, the most booked appointments, the most optimized, and the most qualified booked appointments as well. And what you do is you just take it and you keep the winners. You stop running ads for the losers, and you keep the winners, and you scale and you scale and you scale as you start to sign more and more clients. Okay, it's really that simple. Now, what is the full lead journey? So a lead is going to click on your ad. Okay, they're going to go to the VSL and the opt-in page. They're going to watch the VSL. After they've watched the VSL, they're going to fill out the qualifying form. If they're disqualified, they get sent to a disqualification page where they're in a pool where they're reactivated. So a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, we continue to just reactivate, see if they are qualified now. And in the meantime, on the disqualified page, you just send them free resources, send them to a community, send them to whatever. Just keep them nurtured, because even if they're disqualified, just because they're disqualified today doesn't mean that they will be in a week. Very important. Okay, don't throw away disqualified leads. Now, if they're qualified, they go to a book calendar slot, so they have the option to pick. Then they'll get a confirmation email. Right away, as soon as they book the calendar slot, they'll get a triage call where we are confirming all the info on the calendar, ensuring that they are financially qualified, ensuring that they are actually the business owners that we work with, getting the first introduction, the professional first introduction for the company, and showing them that we are a trustworthy person. The other reason that we're doing this is to have another touch point. We want to make sure that the first time they're speaking to us isn't the same time that we charge 10 grand. We want to make sure that they've spoken to us as somebody at our company, even if it is just a triager. Okay. And then they're going to receive a confirmation SMS at the same time. Triager is going to confirm info and qualifies. And then what the triager does is once they've called, they actually submit pre-call info form. Okay. So they tell us the person's name, their email, and they give us a rating based on that call of how qualified they are for the PIF offer. So the paid in full offer. 1 out of 4 being they will cancel them off the calendar, they'll remove them off the calendar, and they will become a disqualified prospect. 2 out of 4 meaning it's like a 3 out of 5 out of 10, 3 to 5 out of 10. A 3 out of 4 is like a very, very good prospect, and 4 out of 4 is they're ready to pay. The call is a formality. Okay, they know everything about us, they know everything about the offer, they know everything about the price. Now, inbound and outbound stacking. Okay, so what we're gonna do is to generate the leads, we're going to be running the paid ads. We're going to be using organic content, which is going to be attracting inbound traffic, creating a personal brand, proof and testimonials, and value content. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using both of these almost as a hybrid. So it's funny, these videos, these YouTube videos that I'm making right now that you're watching in order to help you sell AI, I've actually closed and converted business owners on these YouTube videos. They schedule and book a call and they're like, hey, I don't want to sell, but I want exactly what you just showed, because they see the free value that I'm giving. They see the content, and it piques their interest. Okay, it's give everything away for free, sell implementation. So by the way, if you're a business owner, book a call, we can help you. Anyways, and then for outbound, we're going to do manual DMs, cold emails, and AI calls, okay, in order to convert that and stack and almost have like a hybrid funnel. For nurturing and retargeting, like I said, email sequences, retargeting ads, right, trying to get all the leads as nurtured, as qualified as possible, showing them as much of us as possible if they've opted in at any point in time. Because remember that if they've opted in, they've shown interest. So if they haven't converted or closed since they've opted in, you lost them somewhere. Okay, you lost them, and you need to find them again. And then we're gonna have the AI call, introduction, stuff like that, and then daily triage or follow-ups with that. Okay. Now, phase 4, closing and fulfillment. Okay, so this is honestly a very important one as well. This is gonna help you, number 1, solve the hardest thing that is in this business model, is closing. The reason being is it's very hard to place a closer into a business that has no proof of concept, no cash collected. Now, when I say it's hard to place a closer, I'm talking about a real closer, not just somebody who claims to be a closer who has like 5,000, 10,000 collected, and they claim to have 500,000 collected and closed deals. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a real closer who's done millions in closed deals. And it's very hard to hire on a closer who has millions in closed deals to a business with no proof of concept. So a majority of the time where I see people fail is on closing deals. They get the booked appointments, they have the systems in place, they have the good software, they have the fulfillment, but they can't close deals. And most of the time it's a mindset blocker as well as a information gap. You just need to understand how to sell. And once you learn how to sell once, you can sell repeatedly. You can review the calls, you can continue on, and then place and delegate a closer once you have proof of concept in your business. The sales process. Now this is for a 1-call close. That's what we're going for. we are going to show up with a full triage report. So that you have the triage report, you have all the information about the client. You're going to put yourself in a position of authority. You need to make sure that you are in command. Now, even though you are in command and you're in a position of authority, you need to make sure that you are not talking most of the time, okay? You're the one asking the questions, they're the one answering those questions. You want them to speak as much as they can and come up with the answer on their own. If you just tell them things and yap, then you're not doing good. A good way to test this and structure it is if you use the Fathom recording bot. So what Fathom does is it can actually detect speaker time. So if, let's say you have speaker 1 and speaker 2. Speaker 1 would be me, which I'm trying to close the client, and speaker 2 would be the client. The best way to test to ensure that you are in a position of authority and that you're building rapport and enough of discovery and asking enough questions to where it makes sense, they need to be speaking minimum 75% of the time and you 25%, okay? So a 3-to-1 ratio. If you can keep it like that, you're very good. You're doing very good. So position of authority, building rapport, being friendly, not trying to sell them right off the bat, okay? You have to open up. You have to, the way that I think about it is it's almost like you have to treat them like they're your friend, okay? Just, you have to be a little bit more professional about it, and make jokes, laugh, or have banter, go back and forth, okay? Now, one thing I'm sure a lot of people don't know is 75% of a sales call is the discovery. 75% of the sales call is discovery. If 75% of your sales call isn't discovery, you are not asking enough questions. 25% should be the pitch. Okay, and then obviously you have a little bit at the end. Objection handling is usually extra. If you haven't covered all the objections they have in the VSLs, in the triager's call, in the beginning of the call, then, you know, whatever it is, it's a little bit extra. And then obviously you have the close deal, collecting payment. And then in order to ensure that everything is being tracked, you submit the sales report form. You just report how many calls you took, how many showed up, how many closed, the cash collected, the revenue, etc. Okay, and then hand over to CSM for onboarding. Obviously, at this point in time, you might not have a CSM, but I'll explain why I'm saying all these things, because this is to have the foundation for when you can afford to have clients and when you can afford to have employees. Okay, then for your fulfillment options, you have 3 choices. Now, in my personal opinion, you should always go with option number 1, no matter what, to start. The reason being is if you don't understand it yourself enough, if you outsource, you are going to have shitty results. You're going to be training people on something you don't even know how to do. Okay, even if they are expert in it outside for another business, they don't know your business. The business owner will always know their business the best. And if you don't, then you're doing something wrong, okay? To start, don't get me wrong, to start. So do it yourself, okay? You can do it in the beginning. It's not scalable, and you won't be able to do complex builds, especially for the AI agent, the paid ads, whatever. If you've never done it before, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to use YouTube. You may even have to invest in some mentorship, because starting it on your own and kind of winging it is pretty difficult. Don't get me wrong, it can be done, but using resources and knowledge, the knowledge we have right now online, 100% possible. It's just going to take a little bit more effort. The benefit of doing it by yourself, like I said, is number 1, you can then outsource and delegate and train your employees properly once you replace that role. And number 2, you are keeping all the money. It's 100% profit margins. If you are doing all the ads, you don't have to pay a media buyer or a white label agency. If you're doing and building the AI, you don't have to pay for a developer, right? So all those things, it's 100% margins, which is really, really good. Then number 2 is you have outsourcing. So you can use Fiverr or Upwork, and the good thing about it is it's fairly cheap. Now, the only thing that's bad is it's a little bit risky. You can protect yourself with contracts, just because sometimes, you know, it's sketchy. You are working with somebody who you don't know yet necessarily, and they aren't an employee, right? They're a part-time contractor. So you just have to protect yourself with a contract, and also ensure that they're trained properly, because if you don't do the work, if they don't do the work properly and you're paying them, then you're at a double loss. You're not only giving margins away, but you're also having unsuccessful and unhappy clients, okay? Or number 3, you have a specialized fulfillment partner. So what we do, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, and what Inside AI does is we actually fulfill, and we have a in-house fulfillment team that you can leverage, and we just charge a fulfillment fee. You pay one time. You don't have to bother paying a fulfillment team or an engineering team. We cover that on our own. And part of using our software is you can actually white label it. So you can slap on your logo here, you can slap on the colors, whatever. You can white label and sell it as your own. And if you don't know Inside AI, it's my company. There's a lot of other white label platforms out there, but not very many where you can leverage a fulfillment team, do the onboarding for your client, completely white labeled. So they literally hop on call with your clients, fulfill for you, and then actually launch the agent, build the agent behind the scenes, as well as provide white label services for the software to be used. But yeah, that's another option. And the good thing about it is we've done it for over $500,000 in revenue with, you know, worth of clients. It's hands off, and it's repeatable, predictable, and scalable. So right now we have one solutions engineer. His name's Roger. He's capable of handling around 5 to 10 builds every single month. And In terms of replacements, we have 4 engineers on standby at any point in time, so we can cover a lot of builds. No need to worry. Okay, so yeah, that's another option you have, like I said, between the 3. In my personal opinion, let's start with this. Or outsourcing and learn it yourself, as well as leveraging agencies. You can literally pay an agency, learn from them. Same thing goes with us, right? You can pay us and then learn from us as well. And then for delivering client success, so you've collected payment, they get a welcome email, they fill out an onboarding form. You need to make sure that this process is styled so they're as happy as possible. And then you're going to have extensive questions for the AI build. You're going to submit a form and book onboarding call with a solutions engineer. And then the solution engineer is going to review the onboarding form. He's going to hop on the onboarding call. He's going to begin the build and integration. He's going to do a ton of test calls, a ton of testing. And then there's a launch call, okay, where this is, ensuring the client understands the platform, how to use it, where to view the analytics. And then there you go, launch the build. Now, once the agreement is signed, they get sent to this form here, where the onboarding form, sent this form here. They get a welcome/onboarding Zap notification and then a onboarding email. Okay, so this is what you'd receive on the third method. So this is the exact process that we would use in order to fulfill for your client. So it's a payment form. Obviously, we need to pay our engineer to fulfill, and then there's a welcome and onboarding Zap you get sent. Okay, so below is the onboarding form for your client to fill out with all the necessary information for a solutions engineer to begin their build. Keep blah, 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 blah. Okay, so make sure they fill out every question with as much detail. Make sure they book the onboarding call, and then it explains the fulfillment process. Then from there, they get sent to a form, asks their name, it asks their email, their phone number, business name, the login info for the account on the platform, a Q&A doc with all the questions a person on the phone may have with answers to them. So we're building the knowledge of the AI. Upload an existing template of the script for the AI agent. So we would tweak it or use that based on what they have already. How many agents did you purchase and what's the purpose of each one in case you have multiple agents for this build and this customer? How many follow-ups would you like each lead? And how often would you like it to call? For example, once every 24 hours. So we're just getting all the necessary information in order to actually build the process. And then, of course, the onboarding call at the very end here. Then the onboarding form info is sent to our solutions engineer directly. And then all of the info is stored in our Discord channel. And then we have the onboarding initiation call, the agents build, the integrations, follow-up triggers, webhooks, etc. And then the AI agent launch call. Okay, smooth onboarding, happy clients with a ton of referrals and endless money, right? And that's a seamless process because it's super hands-on. And like I said, you could learn from us. You could pay once for fulfillment, and then just do it yourself, okay, or hire somebody else to do it. And then, of course, number 5 in the last and final phase is scaling and building the machine. Okay, so once you've signed on a decent amount of clients, you don't want to be doing all the work. You don't want to be doing all the fulfillment yourself. Okay, so we are going to hire for the following roles. This is the most important, and using this, I've been able to essentially be completely hands-off when it comes to fulfillment. I don't do a single ounce of work for the acquisition process as well as the fulfillment process. All I do is manage the team, and I look for different ways to scale outside of the business. So we're going to replace triaging, right? We don't want to be doing that. Setting, closing, our engineer, and then our client success manager. Triager should be your first hire. Okay, it's super low cost and it's critical for high volume of calls. You want to make sure that everyone who's getting on the call is qualified. Okay, now the setter is a little bit later for outbound scaling. He's not going to be one of your first or second or third hires unless you're hammering and you're doing cold outreach. Okay, now your closer, he's going to be commission based, or sorry, for your setter, or if you have a community. So if you have a community where you're sending and driving people, that's a good role to have early on. Now the closer is commission based. Closer is going to be a huge role because usually these calls are hour long, and if you're booking out 8 calls per day and you have a full schedule, you have no time for anything else. Okay, and then for our engineer, he will fulfill and do all the client builds. And then client success manager is a huge one as well on the fulfillment side because he onboards all the clients. He handles client communication, and he's able to upsell and drive and bring more revenue for the business if the clients end up being happy. Okay. Now, while doing that, we're going to automate the operations. So we're going to automate the onboarding process. We're going to pre-build SOPs and trainings so that everything is just instantaneous. As soon as somebody comes through, it's a seamless process. Okay, setting up internal pipelines. Lead, triage, close, onboard, fulfill, success. All of this is automated. It's completely set up through a bunch of Zapier integrations and all that jazz. Okay. And then of course you have to scale your paid traffic. So you're going to spend more on winning ads, split test funnels, add YouTube ads, add Google ads, add TikTok/Meta organic strategies, okay, and post and do the organic hybrid because that's how you're going to win long term. That's how you're going to build recurring revenue. And then increasing MRR and LTV, by including a ton of upsells on more agents, automations, and marketing integrations, even recurring fees for support and maintenance, for maintenance packages, rate maintenance and monthly retainers, referral program where they can make money and you can make money if they're happy and had success working with you, as well as cross sells. So I'll give you a good example. We had a client come through and they're like, hey, the client said, it's great, guys. Like, all the leads coming through are, high quality. They're good, booking a lot of appointments, but I find it's really hard to manage and the CRM is super hectic. Do you guys think you could set up and organize a system to where we can have all the leads organized? And we charge $5,000 for a pretty much a revamp of the CRM and then an Excel sheet that organized all the leads coming through and clean. It was professionally done. Like we outsourced somebody on $500 or $250 to do it, and it looked really clean. And it organized it, right? And it was just a random process. We don't even offer that as part of our pitch, right? And then you give them a price, a random custom price for you to do it. So there's a lot of cross sells in larger companies. And if you guys are aware of Ravi Abuvala, his SWS company, they did like 1 million last year in cross sells. So pretty crazy. Anyways, that is the video, guys. Okay, that is how you're going to get started. Now, I know I didn't cover a lot of the in-depth information, but this is the video. That's the blueprint on how you want to get started from phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it's something that you should use and save to go back and leverage. Okay, I have a lot of other videos where I go a ton more in depth, but this is a good one just to skim and have the basics covered and the basic understanding on getting started today. Okay, now if you're willing to invest in yourself and you want to scale and you want to sell AI and do numbers like I've been doing, I do have an opportunity where you can work with me one-on-one selling my Insight AI platform and white label it as your own. We partner together. Okay, so we have a ton of people that we partner with and we help them sell our platform as their own. Now, like I said, it's completely up to you. You don't have to work with me, and it does require an investment. So if you're not willing to invest in yourself, no worries, that's fine. But I've always looked at mentorship as an opportunity and almost a time machine of trial and error and skipping all the hard parts that you don't have to go through by yourself, all the money lost, all of the trial and error of things that didn't work. And you can skip that just by paying somebody for the information. And have somebody you can rely on. And if that's something that you believe in and you're interested in, there's a link to apply for the call below. We're not going to accept just anybody. If you are in a third world country and you don't have a lot of funds to invest, I don't recommend booking the call. It's just not for you. Like I said, you'd most likely even struggle just paying for the ads, and you need it, right? Like as I said in the video, you need money. So it does require an investment, and please don't book a call if you're not willing to do that. But like I said, anyways, if you're not, you can start completely for free. With this process, with a ton of other videos on my channel. So yeah, if you're willing to invest in yourself, you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to do these types of numbers, I'll hit the refresh once again. I'll be waiting for you on that call. It'll either be me or my business partner taking that call, depending on who's busy or who's available. And yeah, take care, guys. Bye-bye.